Hi everybody, welcome to a new vlog, and today's vlog is going to be the horse's winter feeding routine. So Quinn is happily munching on his dinner now before I ride and sort him out, make all the rest of the feeds and hay nets up to show you guys what they get fed, and then at the end I'll show you Moo eating hers as well, because they both get different feeds, but I'll mix them all up and show you them as we go. So I'm going to jump to me at home, talking through how I work out how much the horses need to be fed, and what they need to eat, and also include a little bit from when we had spillers out, which also is a massive help and insight into what I feed the horses. So nonetheless, enjoy the vlog.
Oh, don't try. I don't like all the things you do, mess with my head. Just pick me up, let me down like you don't care. This is for my time.
So our yard has spillers out, and we had them out a few weeks ago, getting ready to go into the winter period, as that's when we sort of change over the horses' feeds. So they have a different feed in the summer and a different feed in the winter. Because of sort of the time of year, they go from living out to living in. They just need some extra vitamins and minerals, a little bit of extra condition. Quinn is a bit of an older horse. Maya's obviously more of a sportier horse, and she's in a lot more work than Quinn, so they are fed different things. So we run through all of this with spillers. I'll leave an iCard with the video below so you can see exactly what we do when spillers come out. But they basically give us a body condition score. They put them on the weigh bridge so that they get their weights. And then they give us this little booklet which includes what we should be feeding the horses, and how much of. Again, just has their weight and has their body condition score. So Quinn's body condition score was 4.5, so he was a little bit underweight and a little bit sort of lacking condition. He's an old boy, we are coming into the winter, so that is something that I wanted to have a chat with Spillers about, what feeds we could put him on going into winter. And obviously he's not in as much work as what he was last year. He is slowing down with his sort of retirement, and he weighed in at 491 kilos, which again was a little bit under what he should be. So for Quinn, they recommended feeding the Spillers Alpha Pro Fibre, which he's already on, so we're going to feed half to a kilo of that. And then the Spillers Grow and Win Balancer at 600 grams or 500 grams of the conditioning cubes. So the conditioning cubes and the Alpha Pro Fibre is what we already have at the yard, so that's the option that we've gone for so far. So I write everything down to work out how much they need to be fed. I use the stub scoop as a rough guidance of how much each sort of scoop weighs as to what you put in the scoop. So chaff will weigh different to conditioning cubes and to mix and things. So this will then allow you to work out how much the horse needs to be fed. So it's really easy to work it out. If your horse is at a perfect weight, they're fed 2% of their body weight. If they're under, they're fed 2.5 to 3, and if they're over, they're fed 1.5 to 1. Ideally, you don't ever want to go down to 1% unless it's under veterinary guidance and nutritional support, so that it can be monitored correctly, so your horse obviously doesn't become unwell from not being fed enough, etc., etc. But to work it all out, you take their body weight, which Quinn's was 491, so he was also a little bit underweight, so we're going to go for 2.5%. We'll times that together, which will give you sort of how much they need to be fed between concentrates and hard feed, which I rounded a figure to 12. And then you work out their hard feed next and take that away from how much forage they will then need. So Quinn was obviously being fed a half to a kilo of Alpha Pro Fibre or 500 grams of conditioning cubes. So he was having half a kilo of Alpha Pro Fibre and 500 grams of conditioning cubes, which makes up 1 kilo in total. Take that away from your overall 12, which leaves you with 11 kilos of hay or haylage. So then I do the exact same workings out for Maya, but obviously she was a little bit overweight, so instead we feed her 1.5% of her body weight. So she is just getting sort of just a rough half of Happy Hoof molasses free. She doesn't need anything that's high in sugar, starch, anything that's heating or gives her a lot of energy. She has plenty of that. So using a stub scoop, again, half a kilo of chaff works out as 1 scoop. So she should be fed 1 scoop a day, timesing her body weight. So she was 538 kilos, times that by the fact that she was overweight, so we're going to go for 1.5% of her body weight, gives you the overall figure of how much she needs to eat a day. So we're rounding that up to 8 kilos. She's obviously only fed half a kilo of hard feed, so I'm not sort of too fussed. I like to work it out so it's fairly even. So I'm just going to feed her around sort of the 7-8 kilos of hay, depending on what time she comes in, as she is only getting a handful of chaff. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below, or pop me a message or anything if you want me to sort of run through everything, but hopefully you can roughly see by the book how much it is. So we've gone through the weigh bridge with Spillers. We have then weighed out and measured out everything that they need to be fed by working out their body mass to like weight ratio. So obviously they're working out 2%, 1%, 1.5%, 2.5% of their body weight. So I've worked all that out and shown you guys how to do that. Then it's on to what we actually feed the horses, or what I actually feed Quinn and Maya. So, because I'm a little bit of a sucker, they get a treat ball each at night. This is just filled with a handful of Omega equine treats. They're safe for Quinn being prone to laminitis. They're also not too, they're also not going to be too fatty and put a lot of weight on them either. But it just gives them something to do in the stable, keeps them moving around, keeps them warm if it is a bit colder, keeps them occupied. So I just like to give them a handful of treats in the treat balls. Then in terms of actual feed, so we feed Spillers at the yard. So Quinn is fed on the Alpha Pro fibre. So there's additional oil in it for coat shine and condition, has vitamin E, and then I'll leave all the other specs and things up here about it too. So as we worked out, he will have a scoop of the Alpha Pro fibre, which is in this bin here. I just give him a loose scoop of the Alpha Pro fibre, and then he also gets 1/4 of a scoop of conditioning cubes, which measures the same out as one of these cups. So he obviously was getting his 500 grams. Of his conditioning cubes. So he then has his supplements. He has his Flexology, which is this one just here. I am running low, do need to get another one of these. And then they both get a scoop of the Vitality. So this is just a source of vitamin, minerals and superfoods for them, just to give them that little bit extra over the winter period. Again, I did go through a little bit about this, but I'll leave sort of all the info in the description below, links to the products, and insert little info cards up on the side. So he gets a scoop of Vitality in there. And then when it's colder nights, like tonight, it's going to be dropping down to -2. Depending on how he has been looking and how he's been feeling, I will either give him half a sachet of Butte if he's looking and feeling quite stiff and bad. If he's not, then I will give him a little scoop of Boswellia in his feed. So this is just going to help aid his joints. And Flexology is his maintenance one that he has all the time. That's just a little extra top up when he's a bit cold. He's going to be in all night, get a little bit stiff. So that is what Quinn is fed. So that's his feed all done. And then we have Maya. So Maya is fed on the Spillers Happy Hoof Molasses Free. So she doesn't need a lot of sort of feed. She doesn't need anything high energy. She doesn't need anything heating, starch, sugars, anything like that. So Spillers Happy Hoof Molasses Free is perfect for this. So she just gets her half a scoop. So sort of half a scoop, 3/4 is what she gets. This already contains sort of little pony nuts and the extra bits and pieces in there for her to have. So I'll pop that in. And then with that, she then gets her scoop of her Vitality as well. And then she gets her magnesium to keep her nerve and muscle functions under control, acts like a bit of a calmer, and just it's been an absolute lifesaver and completely fantastic. It's a bit messy, but she just has 1 scoop of this.
And then that is my ice feed done. And then because it's the winter and I'm a bit of a sucker, I do put hot water in their dinners so that they get a nice warm mash, especially when it's freezing. Like right now and it's actually 0 degrees, so they'll get nice warm dinners too.
So I feed ponies hay. They do have the option to have haylage as well. Maya definitely doesn't need haylage. And Quinn sometimes gets in the winter if he is sort of looking a little bit under condition, but I also have to be careful with his laminitis just to manage that, whereas hay I can soak if his laminitis is looking like it's on a flare up or he gets really frosty out there. So Maya gets 7 kilos of hay and Quinn gets 10 kilos of hay, so I just fill them up, weigh them. They then get really well sprayed at the moment just so that all the dust spores, mold spores, and it just makes it a lot more palatable for them. And then I let them drain before hanging them up in their stables.
So that is everything the ponies get fed and why and what I feed them. And we're going to tuck into that and enjoy that din-dins. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and that it's been helpful and informative. I'll leave everything linked in the description below. How to also get in touch with spillers as well if you want them to come to your yard and do a weigh bridge. I have a whole separate video on that and what happens and what goes on, which I'll leave it on the iCard too. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!